folks. Welcome to the Voiceover Livecast, number 6. As always, we'll wait till some people start showing up before we really get into it, which should be imminently, but we'll see. Lori English, you're number 1. How about that? You missed out last week, but you're back. Shelly Adams, hey. Wow. Great to have you here. Sabrina Hunt, all right. You missed it last week. You tuned into my music live cast about 5 seconds before I signed off. So, I think the 10 o'clock time is working better for people. Hi, Frank. Like I said, I'll just wait a minute or two to dig into it here. Charlene, hey, morning. We'll see how many of Rick's rowdies show up. Forgot about the time difference. Yeah, that's true. Hi, Barb. I'm going to change that. I'm not going to wait too long here. Got to have a hard stop at 9:30 because I've got lots of stuff to do. So, voiceover updates. I've been doing a slew of the romance and erotica books. Charlene, it's late. What do you mean it's late? Hi, Jim. So they're not published under my name, so it's been kind of quiet as far as my fans looking for new audiobooks. But there's going to be one coming out probably this week called The Lost Daughter, and it's by the same author that did the Zion series about the religious cult. Lori, you are definitely a roadie. Or rowdy. Rowdy. You're a Rick's rowdy. You need a button, I think. I don't know, I gotta think about that. I don't know if you have one yet. So anyway, I've got this book coming out, and it's a pretty short book, and it's interesting. It's another young adult thing, so I'm kind of excited for that coming out. And I'm actually wrapping up a romance book, and it's going to be part of a long series, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to be doing the whole series. And it's a romance set in the 1970s in California. It's kind of an interesting setting. And it may actually be the first romance book that I publish under my name. So that should be sometime in May, once we get all that put together and out there. A little congested this morning. I'm overdue for an allergy shot again, which is bad on me. So, yeah, I'll put updates out there when The Lost Daughter is out, and we'll see about this new romance book. It's kind of nice and sweet and has a lot of religion wrapped into it as well. Hey, Eric. And that's really about it. I've just been extremely busy, and I'll be working on another book right after this one, and then I don't have anything on my schedule, so probably going to take a little bit of a break, because I've been going nonstop since January. So today, I'm going to read a couple chapters from The Fear. This was written by Rae Louise, and it's actually set in England, UK, somewhere. It's never really mentioned exactly. And this was one I was assigned by a publishing company, so it wasn't one where I auditioned or where I got to... Yeah, Charlene. Well, it's sweet. It's not dirty. It's not filthy. It wouldn't make you blush. So this one, I didn't have any interaction with the author, and that always makes it different. Hey, Tim. So I just narrated, sent it to the publisher, and it was out there. And usually, you kind of like to have some kind of interaction with the author, just so you know what they want as far as the characters and all that. And this one is mostly female-based. And it is set in the UK, and I don't do that accent at all. So, and I was directed not to. I didn't have to. So the voices are 85, 90% female. And this was my third, maybe fourth book. And I did it way back summer of 2017. So I can't even listen to it anymore. It's out there if you want to check it out. But, hey, June. June, I'm going to be at Kindred next Friday, 7 to 10. Let everybody know. I'd love to see you guys. So, yeah, this was a different kind of project, and it was in my early days before I really learned a lot about what I was doing. So, what you hear now is going to be a little bit better. A little bit better. All right. I think I'm ready. So we've got, the main character is Mia. She's a young woman in her mid-20s. She has a 5-year-old daughter named Louisa, and her ex-husband is Nathan, and her younger sister, who's about 17, 18, is Jamie. In this particular chapter, this is about a haunted house, essentially, and the house is kind of doing bad things to everybody, and it's starting to affect the little girl as well, so there's a little bit of profanity that's kind of funny. If you like hearing little kids curse, which you will. Chapter 13. Don't do that. Might be something fragile in there, Nathan hinted to his daughter. Louisa stopped shaking the box and held it to her ear, as if listening for a clue. I think it's a bit small for a pussycat, Lou, Mia joked. Finally, Louisa tore off the bow and carefully removed the lid. She looked up to Nathan, eyes glittering with as much intensity as the object in the box. For me? She gasped. Who else? Nathan replied, the self-satisfaction oozing from him. He looked even more like Louisa with his fresh tan, although his hair was more dark brown than black. It had a coarse texture, the type that developed a kink once it reached its length it was at now. Clearly, he hadn't bothered to get a haircut during his fortnight in Spain. Mia took the necklace out of its package, afraid the girl would snap the delicate chain, and displayed the heart-shaped pendant in the palm of her hand. Wow, special occasions only, I think, she said. Can I put it on, Mommy? Louisa pleaded. Of course you can, Princess. Nathan beckoned her over to the armchair. Come on, give it here. Louisa snatched the necklace and dashed over to her father. He fastened it around her neck before opening the locket and pointing to the two halves. See, he said, this is where you can put the pictures of the people you love, so they'll always be close to your heart. Like you and Mommy. Whatever you like. You could even put a photo of Casey in there. Clicking the locket shut, he whispered just loud enough for Mia to hear. It's not like you can tell the difference between her and your mom anyway. Louisa giggled while covering her mouth with her hand. Then she rushed back to Mia to flaunt her gift. Very pretty. Mia glanced at Nathan, the remnants of a scowl still shaping her forehead. Must have been expensive. Worth every euro, he winked. What did you get, Mommy? Bored of the necklace already, Louisa picked up a wooden object next to Mia and gave it a thorough inspection. It's called a maraca. Your dad's idea of a joke, I think. What's it for? You play music with it, like the tambourine bells you use in your school plays. Louisa picked up its twin and shook the instruments more vigorously. Jingle bells, rattle. Jingle bells, rattle, rattle. Jingle all the way. Oh, what fun. God, will someone shut her the hell up? Jamie tossed the television remote on the coffee table. I can't hear myself think. All right, there's no need to snap. Mia seized the maracas and placed them on the side unit away from Louisa. Nathan's smile quickly broadened into a grin. Mia mouthed the word bastard at him. Can you stay for tea? Louisa asked her dad. If it's okay with your mom. He looked hesitantly at Mia, who answered her daughter rather than Nathan. I suppose so, and seeing as Daddy's wallet is so fat at the minute, I reckon he'd treat us all to a takeaway if you'd asked him nicely. Not for me. Jamie heaved herself out of the sofa. I'm going to my room. Fine, I'll leave any leftovers in the fridge, Mia said. Nathan watched the teenager stomp from the room. What's up with her? He said, once Jamie had left. Mia gave a lethargic sigh. She's had a bit of a bother with the guy next door. It's not as big a deal as she's making it out to be. Do you want me to have a word? Mia laughed spontaneously. Since when did you become so macho? I meant with Jamie. Mia's face straightened, her right brow levitating up by her hairline. Christ, has all that sunshine revived some of your brain cells? You haven't been this attentive since... Oh, God. Don't tell me you and Regina have finally taken things to the next stage. This time it was Nathan's turn to scoff. Do me a favor. The boys are a handful enough, especially with their dad being in the nick. Besides, his focus returned to Louisa. No one messes with my girls and gets away with it. I hate to break it to you. Mia cupped her hands over their daughter's ears. But a drunken romp on the back end of a college dare doesn't technically make me yours, does it? Nathan grinned as Mia got up off the sofa. What's so funny? Louisa wanted to know. Nothing, princess. So what's good to eat around here? We had some leaflets come through the letterbox the other day. I'll dig 'em out, said Mia, and then she was gone. Thanks for letting me come over tonight. Nathan stepped onto the path that ran alongside the picnic blanket on the front lawn. I know you're busy getting the house sorted and whatever, but I do appreciate it. You're welcome, Mia replied. But seriously, no more lavish gifts, or else Louisa will start expecting more and more. Yeah, sorry about that. Nathan scuffed the toe of his trainer against the doorstep. His hands were tucked into his pockets, head bowed. Didn't realize how hard it'd be. What? All these miles between us. It kind of feels like I've been taking the last 5 years for granted. Mia had to stop herself from putting a comforting hand on the man's shoulder. Even with these flares of maturity, he still couldn't disassociate himself from the awkward 19-year-old she'd met in what seemed like a lifetime ago. Mia had found it endearing at the time, comical even. But after Louisa's birth, it had become a case of she'd grown up too quickly, and Nathan hadn't grown up at all. It was also the reason she hadn't been on a date since. Nate, can I ask you something? Mia pulled the front door shut while moving towards him. Yeah? How does Louisa seem to you? In herself, I mean. Fine, all things considered. Great, in fact. Mia gave a feeble nod. She does seem brighter after starting school. It's just that she's been saying and doing some really unusual things since we moved. I was seriously beginning to regret having done all this. Probably just anxiety, Nathan said. I'll have a chat with her at the weekend. I thought you couldn't have her. Regina's got work to do that I was supposed to be going to, but I think I'll give it a miss after today. Like you said, we need to get Lou back into a routine. I bet Regina will love that. She'll understand. Are you still okay to drop her off on Friday, or shall I pick her up after school? I haven't got any appointments, so I should be able to finish work a bit early. I'll text you if it's going to be a problem. Cheers. And go easy on Jamie, yeah? Mia wondered if he'd had a personality transplant in Spain, and that was the reason he'd been unable to afford a haircut. Is there something you know that I don't? It was a serious question. Nathan answered. As I said, family is more important than anything now. See you Friday. After a cursory goodbye, Mia wrapped her cardigan around her front and folded her arms to stop it from blowing open. As Nathan's car shrank into the distance, it seemed to tow away her very soul, leaving behind a cold, empty husk. A part of her wanted to scream at him for abandoning them because, pathetic as it was, he was the only reminder she had. Of their home, their proper home, and the contentment it had offered. Of course, there was Angela and the girls from work, but they had their own lives and their own families to deal with. Jamie and Louisa were all she had now, and she was all they had. Failing them wasn't an option. Mia stood there a few minutes bored before retreating into the house. She jogged upstairs and popped her head around the bathroom door. You almost finished in there, Lou? Yep. Louisa scooped a handful of bubbles out of the bathwater and blew them so they sprayed up into her face. Mia pulled a towel from the rail hanging over the door and laid it on the toilet lid. Shout me when you're ready to get out, okay? I'll go and find you some clean pajamas. Leaving the girls splashing away, Mia wandered into Louisa's bedroom. As she reached the chest of drawers, something crunched beneath her slipper, She stepped back, lifting her foot off the carpet. Oh, shit! She picked up the locket that Nathan had brought for Louisa. The delicate hinge was split down the middle, so it had broken in half. Mia clearly remembered putting the necklace back onto its box when Louisa had gotten undressed for a bath. And this was on top of the chest of drawers, exactly where she'd left it. She checked inside to find that the chain was also missing. Getting onto her hands and knees, she searched the surrounding floor, feeling beneath the drawers and finally under the bed. Something glinted at her from the shadows. With her chest almost flat against the carpet, she stretched out her arm as far as it would go to reach the object. What the hell? She dangled the chain in front of her face and fingered the broken link. It looked like they'd been yanked around somebody's neck. However, the necklace wasn't the only thing she discovered stashed under the bed. Mia fished out a yellow collar, the same one she'd seen Tabby wearing at Brenda's barbecue the other week. She thought the crusty stains around the bell must have been mud until she held it under the light and saw that it had a reddish tinge. Pushing herself onto her knees, she noticed someone hovering in the bedroom doorway and looked at her daughter as if she was the devil's spawn. "Is this Tabby's collar?" she said, wanting to hear it from the girl's own lips, but not a sound passed through them. "Louisa, why do you have this? Do you know what happened to Tabby?" "I found it." "Where?" "In the garden." "Why didn't you say anything?" As Mia stood up, the girl seemed to physically shrink. She'd almost forgotten about the broken necklace and held up the items as if presenting evidence at a murder trial. "If you know where Tabby is, then you need to tell me, because Dylan's very upset that she's gone missing. And what happened to your new necklace? Daddy spent a lot of money on that." Louisa shrugged in that same elusive manner. Mia couldn't believe this to an extent. There was no way she could have reached up to the chest of drawers by herself. "Sweetheart, I'm not mad at you. Just tell me what—" "No!" Louisa turned and fled from the room. It was the fastest Mia had ever seen her move in her life, but she caught up with the girl in just a few strides. In the grab for her shoulders, she ripped the towel clean off her body. "Louisa Reynolds, don't you dare run away from me when I'm speaking to you!" Mia jerked her around so they were facing one another. "Tell me what you did to that cat, or else I'll get Brenda over here, and you can explain it to her yourself." "I didn't do anything. I hate you, bitch!" Louisa's arms flailed violently, the redness spreading throughout her face until it looked as though she'd stuck it in a nettle bush. Mia was too taken aback to reprimand the girl. Neither she nor Jamie were as cautious as they should have. Neither she nor Jamie were as cautious as they should have been with language. But if that was the case, then she'd have picked up on it long before now. "Louisa, stop this right now!" The more Mia tried to restrain her, the fiercer she struggled, kicking and punching as if she no longer recognized the woman who had birthed her. Louisa was screaming so loudly that neither of them heard Jamie come stomping out of her bedroom. "What the hell's going on out here?" Jamie glanced at Mia and the naked girl in turn, bewilderment eating through the vexation in her face. Louisa spat at Mia before finally squirming free. She pelted over to Jamie and hugged her legs, long-drawn wails resounding through the landing. Mia slumped back into a crouch, half oblivious to the spittle dribbling down her cheek. "What's she done this time?" Jamie looked as shocked as Louisa's behavior as Mia was with her own. Her entire body trembled. It felt like her nerves were trying to burst out through her pores, and she had no concept as to why. It wasn't that she was angry at Louisa. She was angry at everything. "I'm sorry," Mia whispered. "I'm so sorry." She retrieved the towel, then went to cover Louisa, then lifted her up and hugged her so tightly that she could feel her tiny heart thumping as if it were coming inside her own chest. Leaving Jamie staring after them, she carried the girl back to her bedroom. That's it for that chapter. Let's see what I've got here. I'll do part of the next chapter. Let's see who's here. Ooh. Hey, Kyle. Hope hope you're doing well. I've seen your post on your commercials. Congrats on that success. It's exciting to get the commercials for the first time and all kinds of voiceover work. Hey, Randy. No, there's only 4 people watching. Hi, Derek, David, Lisa Kimbler, Matt, hey, Samantha, Rob McAbee. Thanks, Samantha. Yeah, I really kind of dig the more intense stories that I can kind of dig into. My voice isn't all that great today, but I get the intensity. Hey, Rob Rock. Tammy Cooper Ryder. How are you? So, yeah, this was a fun read, but since I didn't get any feedback from the author, it probably could have been better with that. All right, I'll read some more. Chapter 14. Blood-smeared drapes covered the banquet tables, which were accessorized with a grim selection of cobweb-dusted candlesticks, snot cocktails, oozing cupcakes, and an insect-ridden buffet. As if Godestone Manor wasn't spooky enough in its usual 15th century splendor, tonight it looked like the set of a gothic horror film. A ghostly woman approached Mia in the entrance to the great hall, her heavy gown rustling behind her. A band of stitches crisscrossed around her neck, and through the white face paint, Mia recognized her friend's features. "Who do you think you are, Angela Boleyn?" Mia joked. The boss will have your head if you get stains all over the tour costumes." Angela flicked a gloved hand through the air between them. "Nah, it'll wash out. They're in the need of an update anyway. It might persuade the tight git to put his hand in his pocket." She forced a plain white gown and bonnet into Mia's hands. "Don't think you're getting away with it either." Mia held the robe by its sleeves and let the flimsy material unravel in front of her. "What am I supposed to be, the ghost slut of Godestone?" "Better than looking like a prostitute. Good luck getting those baps into a corset. The teenage lads here will think it's Christmas." "Gee, thanks." Mia took off her jacket and slipped the nightgown over her vest and pencil skirt. "Wow, this is totally awesome." The women turned to find a purple-haired witch bouncing around in front of them. She was wearing a long black dress with a pointed hat and a fake, pimpled nose. Mia smiled at the girl. "Happy birthday, Hallie. We hope you have an amazing night and take lots of pictures because you're only 16 once." "Yes, thank you, thank you." Hallie gave the hostess a quick hug and then skipped off with a trail of minions behind her. "Just think," Angela said. "You've got all this to come." "That's if Louisa ever decides to speak to me again," Mia mumbled at the ground. "She'll come around. They always do. A bit of TLC and she'll have forgotten all about it." "I know, but that doesn't excuse how I reacted." Mia folded her jacket and draped it over her arm. "Anyway, I better go and bob this in the staff room. I'll pick up some more champagne on my way back." Mia headed to the back of the manor, where she hung her jacket in the staff room before fetching a couple of champagne bottles out of the kitchen. It was on her way back to the great hall that she glimpsed something sweeping up the staircase to her right. She came to a halt mid-stride, angling her neck so she could peer into the blackness above. "Excuse me," she called, edging toward the stairs. "Hello?" No reply. The staircase was more or less opposite the main entrance, so any cars that pulled into the driveway were bound to bring the shadows to life with the glare from their headlights. And even over the music and clamor from the party, Mia would have heard footsteps moving at that speed, but there were no signs of any vehicles having approached from outside. "Coming through!" Mia gasped when a zombie nun whooshed past her, the champagne bottles almost slipping from her grasp. "Hey, wait!" She tugged them back and stuffed the bottles into their hands, too preoccupied to discern whether or not it was a guest. "Keep the top-ups going, and no underage drinkers." Her gaze fixed on the stairs, Mia climbed over the rope barrier and hurried after the shadow. Upon reaching the first floor, she scanned up and down the T-shaped corridor. To her left was the large family hall, which spanned over almost half of the upper ground. She couldn't see into the room fully, but the landing was all clear. She glanced in the opposite direction. There, at the far end of the corridor, something pale and vague loitered in the gloom. hadn't been fancy dress, then she'd be standing in a puddle of her own urine right about now. Whereas a few weeks ago, she'd have searched every room without so much as an erect hair. Clearing her throat, she spoke in an assertive voice. "Excuse me, but this area is off limits. I'm going to have to ask you to return to the party." Silence. If it was one of the staff, then they would have answered her by now. "Didn't you hear me? You can't... Hey!" The figure disappeared into one of the bedrooms, almost as if it was floating. It wasn't until Mia followed that she noticed the door was firmly closed. No one could move that stealthily. At least, no one human. "Get a grip, Mia," she scolded herself. Teenagers and their hormones, that's all it was. "Look," she said, barging the door open. "If you think you can sneak up here for a quick fumble, then..." But the room was vacant. Bed untouched, furniture in its place. Nothing out of the ordinary. She even checked under the duvet before collapsing on top of it with her face pressed into her hand, giving an unforced chuckle. She had developed something of a delirious imagination since the bump to her head, and just looking at herself now, well, if the thing she'd been pursuing had been some kind of apparition, then chances were it was running upstairs to get away from her. Come on, only a few more hours to get through, Mia told herself. She removed the bonnet to neaten her hair, and then got up off the bed. There was a flock of rowdy teenagers downstairs, and they weren't going to entertain themselves. She was passing the window when she caught movement in her peripheral vision. First she noticed the color, pale as the moon in the black of night. And it was moving. No, swaying, like a sheet that had snagged on a branch in the wind. Wandering over to the window. That's exactly what she thought it was initially. The large oak tree climbed higher than the building itself, contorted boughs casting shadows that stretched across the lawn like the devil's fingers. In the dull lights from the manor house, she was able to discern that the object swinging from the tree was the very same thing that had led her upstairs in the first instance. Mia took a wobbly stride back from the window, her breath caged in her lungs. She blinked twice, praying the image would have vanished, but each time she opened her eyes, it became plainer. The feet suspended a meter or so above the ground, the pendulous arms, and the rope entwined around a flaccid neck. Then there was the face. Mia's brain flipped into overdrive. Oh God, this couldn't be happening. It wasn't real, had to be a delusion. Please, 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 don't let it be true. But it was, and after a third blink, she was still there. Vivian. Hanging. Suffocating. Dying. Oh no, Mia wept. No, no, no. She dropped the bonnet and took off to the stairs, her mind overwrought with what her eyes had witnessed. On the sprint through reception, she cannoned into Angela and knocked a stack of tin trays out of her hands, so they crashed and clanged against the floor. After skidding on several of them as if they were toboggans, Mia regained her footing and burst out through the main entrance, regardless of her friend's cries. Racing around the side of the building to where the staff car park merged with the back lawn, a part of her still expected the body to have disappeared. But there it dangled, as real as the great oak itself. Mom! Oh shit! Oh Christ! Mia looped her arms around the cold, waxy legs and heaved up the bolt with all her might, hoping it would take some of the strain off Vivian's neck. But she was crying so hard that it seemed all her effort was put into that. Don't do this, Mom, she wailed. You can't be gone. I won't let you. Come back to me, damn it. Mia forced her eyes up to Vivian's face, where her swollen tongue lolled out from the side of her mouth. Even in the shadows, she could see that her eyes were open. Open, but not seeing. It was the old rope swing coiled around her neck. But Mia couldn't begin to fathom how someone of her age and condition had climbed up there without a ladder. Alrighty. I think that's it for now. Thanks, guys. Ooh. Next time, at some point, I actually want to turn the camera around and do like a proper, what would be a recording session, so that when I mess up like that, you kind of see what I do. Because I don't just keep going. I actually stop and go back and make sure I get it right. And you can see part of the editing process. Bleh. I don't have any narration to do today. That's probably a good thing. Some days are just like that. So yeah, this is a pretty intense book. It was fun to do. And again, it was a long time ago. I've been at this for just about 2 years now. And maybe have 30, 32 books. So there are some people out there who do this full time, and it's all they do. And they get a lot more books done. But between this and the music, I don't have time for so much. And then when I play shows on the weekends, I don't have a voice after those shows, so I can't really do a whole lot. It can be challenging. So yeah, in 2 weeks I'll do another one, and I'll try to make it a little different. And let's see. The only show I'm playing this weekend is Leapin' Lizards in Hilliard, 7 to 10. I love playing there. It's going to be fun. And that's it. Then I'm going to be staying at home watching the Masters. So, pretty cool. Thank you all for tuning in. And see you next week for the music livecast. Yeah, that's what it's called. All right.